What's up?
Man,
Dude, that music has got me so jazzed. Holy cow, that was awesome.
I know. We like it. Like it hypes us up quite a bit. So, Wally D.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, Wally,
yeah, welcome.
Awesome.
We like it.
I'm hearing echo.
So, I know that's because I had my iPad was up. That was bad. All right, so welcome y'all. So this is Dungeon Class. I'm Mark. This is Gonzo. And we have a special guest, obviously, with us today. Our good friend Wally DM.
Hey,
and we've got some people in chat. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to see some people in here today. This is awesome. Welcome, Pale Rider. Welcome, Rivers. And Logo. I know that guy. He might actually be gigging behind the camera at some point here later.
He may come in. He may come in.
Awesome.
And so how's everybody doing?
Fantastic. Holy smokes. I'm excited about this. I always read all these things about D&D history and all the editions and stuff like that. I've even lived through a few of them before, but never the opportunity to talk about them. So I'm ready to go to war on this.
All right. Going to war over. All right. So
Edition Wars.
Yeah. Good topic. And this one here brings out the, brings out the ire of some people. They get pretty worked up about it. Like nobody wants to touch my edition. Boy, if you want to see some real fire, go into like the Facebook groups that get dedicated to each of the different editions, and like jump into the Advanced Dungeons and Dragon or the first edition and just say a bunch of great stuff about fifth edition. See what happens.
Yeah,
that's how you get people all fired up. People have their editions that's new and dear to them. So I think we've talked a little bit on here about Gonzo and I's relationship with D&D and our experience with editions. But Wally, what editions are you familiar with? When did you start?
Well, I think I'm going to make your Pale Rider very, very happy. This is
nice.
I've used this so much they don't even stay together anymore. These things are falling apart.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. So my introduction and just kind of give you an overall early 80s. And I was in the 5th grade, and I had a kid come up to me and say, "Hey, do you want to play D&D?" I was like, "What's that?" And he rolled me up a character, and within a 45-minute lunch session, I was totally hooked. The very next day, that kid moved away, and I never seen him again. And so I had no idea where to get these books or what he was talking about. All I remember is this floating dagger that was talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, how do I get these books? And then it was probably about 6 months later at 1984, and I was introduced to the Red Box, and that's where Wally DM cut his teeth, and it's still a lot of nostalgic for that set.
Dang, yeah, that's great. That's great. I was always around it because I collected comics since I was little, and in the comic stores they would have a rack or a section where they had TSR stuff, D&D stuff, whatever. And then also I read a lot of books, and at Walden Books in the mall or little bookstore they had, they would have the fantasy section, and then they would have modules there and the player's handbooks and stuff like that. So I saw it there, and then one of my friends, same thing. Hey, you want to learn to play? We learned kind of together to play, and then we started playing. And Mark and I, and a lot of us scouts played at scout camp instead of go to our merit badges.
Nice.
But yeah, we started in the same section with the same stuff. I remember going through Queen of Demon Web Pits, Against the Giants, Keep on the Borderlands, all of the original stuff. And if they talk about having a place to foster imagination, there was nothing better, and still isn't.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I finally found it. There was KB Toys was the one where I finally found it. Yeah. Relic from the past.
We already have a real pointed question already.
A pointed question. Oh my.
Yeah. So I'm a lot younger than I look. Apparently, I've been told.
Yeah.
All right, Rivers, how old do you
Not by my daughter.
Right. Yeah. So Gonzo's. So here's the thing. I'm 52, and Gonzo's daughter is intrigued by the fact that I was born in 1968. Yeah.
Wow.
She's
I'm
mind blown. Yeah. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. She's laughing right now. She's
I bet.
Yeah, she's laughing at you, Mark. Talking about dinosaurs and cavemen and that kind of stuff.
I'll just brag all over how I saw Bowie, and that'll make her shut up. So
that's true. That's good, Mark. That's good. You can get her on that. I'm 49. I just turned 49 yesterday. What's today? 5th?
Yeah, you
Saturday.
did. Saturday.
Did you? Yeah. Happy birthday, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I am celebrating the 18th anniversary of my 29th birthday, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. I got it. 47.
Yep, 47. So
Okay.
I'm the young one of the group. I can't believe it. I love it.
Wow. Just a
Rivers.
child.
Oh my! Kaylee's pointing out your birth year is 68. So there she is in the chat.
See, I know.
Oh wow!
Oh, Rivers is right behind me.
Is here.
Yeah.
That's
Jason,
great.
1978. That's cool.
Yeah. So we're all kind of the same age, a lot of us, and then I feel like I'm 15 still. I've never gotten past that age in a lot of ways. I still collect comic books. I play D&D with my family and friends. I still enjoy good movies and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. So in a lot of ways, I'm still that age. But if you go by the rings, if you cut me in half and count the rings, then I'm 49. So. Hey, by the way, I know we're talking about Edition Wars, but I painted a couple figures recently. Mark, this one's a Fomorian. Let me see if I can show it to the camera.
Oh.
He's got the evil. Ooh, wrong way. He's got the evil eye.
Oh, dang.
Giving you the stink eye. He's got these nasty warts on his back and stuff. Pretty cool.
It's awesome. I dig it.
This one is kind of cool. Hold on a second. I'll put this little light in here, but.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Yeah, I put this little tea light underneath of it, and it actually sits on there. And kind
Is
of
that Cthulhu sitting on Fred's hat? Is that what?
Yeah. That's what it looks like. Yeah, this could be Cthulhu sitting on Fred's hat.
Yeah.
Fred Wheeler from How to D&D.
Yes.
Friend of the show for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one you guys like better. Rivers, I know you like figures, but I kind of like the Cthulhu one better, but you can let us know. But
yeah, those are both really cool.
Yeah. Go ahead. You paint figures? Do you paint them at all, Wally?
Do I?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it.
Well, I'm not good. You saw mine. I'm okay.
So like in my puzzle videos, I like to use the old pewter miniatures, the Raw Parthos and things of that nature. And if I can get them on eBay already painted, I'm so happy about that. Yeah. But I kind of just slap the paint on just to give them some color, and that's just the way it goes. It's just because I have to. I'd rather be making videos or playing in my next game, and then I'm in there. Man, I gotta get this tent painted up for my next video. And
unfortunately for me, we have too much time between games, so I have downtime where I can paint. But and then I have one more show and tell, Mark, and we'll get into the Edition Wars. I think that's important.
All right.
These are from our good friend Rivers RPG.
Oh,
He sent you and I a set of dice. He makes dice for his gaming group, and they have a year on each one. He's already so confident. He has made one. Let's see if it'll focus.
Almost.
Here,
almost
let me go.
there.
Go closer.
Pull it back just a
I know using the camera is different. Hold on.
It does focus, autofocus, but I don't know if it does it that close. Oh wait, almost had it.
Almost.
It's right.
Okay, I'll just tell you, it says 2021 for his gaming group, but he sent us one for 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. Really cool of him to do that. I love him. I mean, we can never have too many dice, and especially some from a personal gaming group. That's a treasure right there. So that goes
absolutely.
That goes in my treasure box, and I want to thank you, Rivers, for that. That was amazing.
Yeah, Rivers wanted to point out that he didn't physically make them.
You just tell him you did. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by how many people you see like on Twitter that make dice.
It's insane.
I'm like, how do you do that? Like you pour a mold?
Yeah.
So that seems interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those 3D printers. I mean, when I first started playing D&D, the original plastic set that came in the red box, those were we all shared them because there's I lived in small towns. There was nowhere that you could buy dice. Right. And so I've got a D20 that's round now. I mean, you roll it, and you just watch it go down the street.
Well,
Nope.
and I loved how that red box you actually had to color in the numbers. You had
Crayon.
to take the
Yes.
crayon.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Back when we first started playing, they didn't even have the numbers filled out. Yeah.
Back in my day, they didn't even have 11 through 20. You just got a plus sign and you were okay with it.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Matthew Perkins is in the chat too.
Awesome.
Hey, Matt, and I like his comment. You can put that one up there, Mark. But
Yep.
he has a very great and valid point. The regular one.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
That's great.
Edible dice. There might be a market for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. If you do that, then the natural ones have got to taste awful. It's got to be like, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. Yeah, great. All right, let's get into the additions. Let's talk about the additions themselves, and I think more to the point that we wanted to talk about tonight is the whole point of cutting down a different edition versus another, like putting one above the other. So we all started at first edition. I don't know that you could ever say anything's better than that, because when you ever get the genesis of something, it's kind of like, this is why we have everything else, is because of first edition. I don't know what you guys think. But
I kind of feel like I would imagine the first one that you played would be the one that was kind of near and dear to your heart, because for me, I remember the wonderment of playing I wanted to see more of what was in the monster manual. I wasn't DMing at the time, but I want to know what was in there. I want to know what the dungeon, what the DM's guide looked like, what's in there. At first I didn't have it, like you were saying, Wally. I didn't have those books. I didn't have access. And in our day, it was like, what is it? What was the bookstore in the mall? The mall
was Walden Books, wasn't it? Was it
Walden Books was one? Yeah.
B. Dalton.
B. Dalton. Yeah, that's right. B. Dalton's. Yeah, that's places we had around here. Comic stores didn't really seem to have them back then. So we'd go there, and so we didn't really have access to them like we have nowadays. So that was a thing. But I think for me, that the first one you play was the one that was like, this game's awesome. I want more. I would imagine that would be kind of hard-ish to get past that and say that, okay, now this edition is better. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah. Now I was watching some YouTube earlier, just trying to do like minimal prep for this, but someone made a very good point that each edition or each person had their own entryway into an edition. So like mine was into Beckme, where yours could be first edition, where someone younger could be fourth edition, and they swear by and they love fourth edition. It's because that's the nostalgic factor for them. That's what they started playing. That's when they were introduced to the game. And so it's kind of hard to put a label on which one was the best, because that's going to differ for everybody, and everyone's going to be biased depending on what you played the most, or the memories you have, the memories you created while playing that.
Yeah, that's very good. As far you're exactly right. The bias will come to the nostalgia factor for when you first learned the game. You just told me your intro to D&D, and you still remember that. You still remember your first experience, and I do mine. I know Mark does his. I'm sure all these guys in the chat and ladies in the chat remember their experience, and even my kids remember when I first introduced it to them and their first campaign and their first character they made and everything. What they don't care about, or what we don't care about, is the rule set we learned to play on. Like, it was fine, because I remember first edition. I remember Thaco. I remember okay, now I have a 14% chance to pick locks as a rogue versus a 12%, right? I remember all that, and it didn't bother me when I was playing, right? So why would I now sit back and say, well, that edition was broken, now it's perfect, I can say that I enjoy 5th edition for sure. I think it's easier to teach and to help other people learn the game. Right. So in that respect, I feel I really like 5th edition. But I can say I like the art better in 3rd or 2nd or 1st edition. I like the storytelling better in 5th edition. I like the rule set of, whatever. We all have different things we may like, but I think you're right. The nostalgia factor.
And that's what's great about, especially if you're running a game, is you can grab those older modules, those older rule books, and you can slap them right into your game. It doesn't. When I played Beck Me and I started finding the first edition stuff, I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm putting this in my game. I like this. Yeah, I don't like the alignment in Beck Me, so I'm going to use the alignment from first edition. And I still do it to this day. I'll include stuff from Pathfinder or 3.5 or whatever. And that's the glory of it is you've got whatever edition you're playing, you can use that as your core, but you can also grab books from other editions that you like and then include those.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I like what Pale Rider said. So Pale Rider felt that pain too, as far as being able to get out and you couldn't just go and buy as a kid. And I think that matters too, what age you were.
Yeah.
When you were introduced, did you have access to a lot of cash, and a lot of us, it was like, no, and I wasn't necessarily working at the time. And I like Pale Rider's comment. Yeah. I mean, you had to do what you had to do to try to scrape together some money.
That's right.
Ask grandparents for that for Christmas or whatever. But that was during the whole satanic panic kind of age. So that may not be the way to, it may not work out either. So, it was a different time back then, but I like that.
That's how I got my player's handbook. My grandmother used to give us $100 for Christmas, and we would go through the Sears catalog and pick out toys or whatever. And then she would go and get that. And then she would make my cousin wrap it, and we'd put it under the tree. And then we got to pick what we wanted, which back then was really unheard of. I loved it. And $100 was so much money. Well, that bought me the Player's Handbook, the Monster Manual 1 and 2, and I think I got Deities and Demigods. And I was so happy. I poured through those books until the pages were falling out. But that was the only way I would have been able to afford it, because I was also spending my little limited budget on comic books and other things. And, the D&D stuff was fairly expensive compared to a 60-cent comic book or 40-cent comic book. But yeah, very good stuff. So yeah, you're right about the edition in that regard. I think one of the things that we see a lot in Facebook, on Twitter, whatever, are people cutting down the other editions. Like I see a lot in 5th edition where they make fun of people that still play 1st edition or older editions, and kind of, okay boomer kind of stuff that you see. And then in the reverse, I see a lot of the 1st edition people or 2nd edition or Beck Me, beginners edition, basic edition stuff, making fun of the soy boys or the nerfed version of 5th edition D&D and saying how it's so video gamey and it's very, which they're right in some respects. It is a little harder to die. It's more about story maybe versus just getting through something or going through a long, drawn out dungeon. So it is different, but I see a lot of, and that always irks me when I see either side. Because I feel like, and Mark had made a good point to me before, is like, doesn't matter what 5th edition does right now. It's bringing people into the game. Obviously, look at our YouTube channels. Why are we doing this? Because it's a popular thing and we want to share how great it is, and we can share this with other people. It's just the right time for D&D to explode. And 5th edition is bringing more and more people in. And Mark made a comment to me like, who's to say that a group that's playing 5th edition isn't sitting in a convention or at a gaming store or something around a group who's playing 3rd edition or 1st edition and not get interested in maybe playing that game. Like, it'll bring more people by starting in 5th to the older editions as well. And I think that's what some of the grognards, so to speak, forget.
Absolutely. And to touch on that, if somebody were to tell me when I was 12 years old and hiding the fact that I played D&D so I didn't get my head stuck in the toilet at school, that it would be cool someday and I would be, I'm going to say, on TV talking about D&D. I know YouTube's not TV, but it's close enough. I would have said they're out of their mind. There's no way. I mean, we should just relish the fact that it is popular. I never thought I would see this. When I got back into playing it 4 years ago, I was just blown away. I was like, everybody loves D&D. What is this? Just like,
Very cool. And to the point now where Hollywood's almost clamoring to get in, to be included in this wave. You see a lot of Hollywood people almost wanting to get noticed that, I play too, or I played it as a kid too. Like, and then they're joining these celebrity games to play a one shot with somebody. And, it's interesting. It's like, it's the new creative space maybe. you know.
Can I ask you guys something?
Sure.
Do you still, since, and everyone in the chat as well, being the older folks in D&D, do you still get that feeling, or even with people that are around you, when you tell them that you play in D&D, and there's ones that don't, they kind of like laugh or anything else like that, because growing up, it was always the nerds that did it, because I still get that every once in a while. I'll be like, I'll tell somebody and they'll like giggle at me. I'm like, it's like, well, it's really popular now. I was like, you know, that girl or that actress from The Punisher, she plays D&D, you know, you know, Joe Manganiello, he plays D&D, you know, and I'll use celebrities, be like, and they're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool now.
Yeah, there is still some of that. I agree, and they haven't got the message that nerds rule the world right now. I mean, our time has come. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like Matt's comment here. I'm not familiar with this one. First quest, the starter adventure with an audio CD dungeon master narrator.
Mark, send him the link. He can pop in anyway.
Yeah.
Matt, Matt. You have what do you need? An email or something?
No, Matt, I can send you actually.
Or open it up. Yeah, if you want to pop in, you're welcome to pop in.
I'll message him through Twitter if you want.
Okay. But yeah,
was it
Vin Diesel plays? Yeah.
Was it this, Matt? I wonder if it's this.
It could be. Yeah. He said it had an audio CD.
Yeah, one of these books I bought had an audio CD with it. I wonder if it's one of those.
Okay.
It's been a long time ago. I could just be thinking things again.
Well, I used to buy comic books that had a record with it, and you played the record, and Stan Lee was reading the book to you. It was really neat. But
oh my goodness, that's
a little
awesome.
45, yeah, a little 45.
So cool.
But yeah, Mark, you're right. That's one of the things we want to talk about. Was if you see this happening, and you have, you guys control the community as well as anybody else, or anyone watching this video. If you're part of this, just think about it. 5th edition. Regardless of how well you like the rule set or not, I like it. But regardless of how well you do, it is bringing tons of people into the game. And those people will generally, if you're playing older edition, feel free to invite them. Instead of scoff at them or make fun, I would do the opposite and be like, hey, you guys should try 1st edition against the Giants. I dare you to see if you can live through that, right? And so, yeah, don't play the Tales of the Yawning Portal version, the 5th edition one. But let me take you through 1st edition. But
I think someone in the chat did say something to that effect too, is to try the other editions and the conventions. I think I've seen that comment in there somewhere, which is exactly right. If you haven't played 1st edition before the pandemic hit, I was all set to go to GaryCon, and I was scheduling myself to play 1st edition Tomb of Horrors. Because I had never played it before, and they had it. I think one of the Gygaxes were actually running it. I was so excited about it. And then, of course, everything got canceled. But if you've only played 5th edition and you go to a convention, check out some of the other systems. You can get into Pathfinder games. You can get into 3.5. You can get into Beckme and 1st edition. Just give it a try and see what's out there. And if all you play is older stuff, you go to these conventions, even the online ones, you can find games for that. Try the new stuff out. It's all Dungeons and Dragons, and it can teach you anything.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I want to play a 1st edition again. It's been so long. I would have to be coached, so I would definitely want to do it in a place, in a scenario where they would be understanding of me learning the game. So a convention would be perfect place to do that when those happen again. Let's get COVID out of here and get back to getting together and having fun. And speaking of getting together, I know there's something we're excited about. We're supposed to be part of the Nerdarchy convention Halloween weekend this year, but of course that got moved because of COVID. We're planning on going next year. I know Wally is hoping to be able to go. Mark and I are planning on doing it, and we're going to run some tables, run some games. And we definitely want to let you guys know about it well in advance. And as we get closer, we hope to see all you people there, because it'll be so much fun just to get to hang out and play some games together and that kind of stuff. It's just
absolutely
fun to have stuff on the horizon to look forward to, that kind of thing. So,
So Wally, have you played Pathfinder?
I did.
All right.
I do have a story for that. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just said someone just put this in here, so you
I
probably have more experience with this conversation than we do. Gonzo and I've never played Pathfinder. I don't
Me
think
neither.
Gonzo has. Yeah.
No.
I know friends of mine play, and there's some definite strong opinions. People that play Pathfinder and prefer it versus Wizards D&D. So, what do you think? What are your opinions, Wally?
Okay. First, hey, Jason, good to see you here. Thanks for joining us. Second, so I quit playing in 2001. I was playing a mash of Beck, Me, and AD&D. So I missed third and I missed fourth. And in 2016, I had a friend that wanted to play Pathfinder. I was like, what's that? He's like, well, basically, it's just like Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, okay. I'll buy the books and everything. As long as you're going to play and stuff, I'll start investing in all this. And I brought my brother back. It was like the Blues Brothers. Hey, we're going to get the gang back together. So I brought all my friends that we used to play and stuff, brought them all back to the table. And I don't know if it's because I'm older and maybe not as patient or whatnot, but Pathfinder was very, very difficult for us. It was very crunchy. Now, I do like the fact that they did go into in depth and so much, and I could go on all day long about the differences.
Right.
But I mean, you had so many character options and abilities and stuff you could invest in, and that's just from the player side. From the DM side, you had all of these different rules with ability score, damage and drain, and different effects from poisons and curses, and we stressed ourselves out with Pathfinder, and our group lasted about 6 months, and we were about to give in. And that's when I found 5th edition. I made the switch, and then it kept me in the game. And that's definitely not to knock on Pathfinder at all, because it's definitely a fantastic, and this was 1st edition, definitely a fantastic system, but you have to make sure you have the right group for it. You've got to be the right DM for it if you're going to DM it. It's if you want all the stats and the crunchy and the numbers and all that stuff, then Pathfinder is your game. If you want to be lazy like me and not have to worry about so many rules and stuff while you're DMing, then it's more 5th edition.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I've heard a lot. I haven't played Pathfinder either, but the 3rd edition I played a little bit of, and a lot of people like 3rd edition. And I know it was, it got to be, and I think as the game matured, it got to be very crunchy because there's more and more rule sets, and then classes and subclasses and prestige classes that you could go into and all of that. So, but having a rule for everything, whether it's, how far can I climb a rope when there's oil on it or whatever, like that can be pretty crunchy when you start to get to the minutia of the plan, like Rocket Raccoon says. But
it's different styles, and I think everybody has a different style, and that's what they prefer. And boy, this one here, I've heard of Immortal Box, but I did not play it for any length of time. Oh yeah,
I know what that is. Yep. Yeah,
I actually never played it. I did use some of the towards the end of my Beck Me series, I did have 2 of our characters that achieved immortality. So that was like our last great quest, was them going and finding artifacts and joining the spheres and all that stuff. But I never actually played that book, but I had it ready.
Interesting. Yeah, Gonzo and I have talked quite a bit about the higher levels at D&D now. One, no one's playing them, but 2, man, if you could figure out some adventures to sell that really kind of nailed that time and made it like worthwhile and make it interesting, that
high level
want to play. Yeah, because it seems like we were talking about how like combat alone would take forever at the higher levels. Yeah. You imagine all you can do in a turn. You got like 1,000 attacks and stuff, and all that would really start to slow things down. It'd be really
crazy.
Yeah, it would be really rough. So there'd be, what could we do to mitigate some of that? So we were talking about that a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, crunchy. That's the term that Gonzo and I use, and we really feel like, and that what Gonzo mentioned about being in a store. I really feel like this 5th edition is a gateway to other editions, and I think I really think, honestly, if a person plays 5th edition and they have not played any of these other editions, to give them a shot. Like even for a one shot or something, to see it may be something there that you didn't expect that you'd really like about that. And that all the editions, I feel like, have some redeeming qualities about them, beyond the fact that just because there was a 1st edition and they made a 2nd edition doesn't necessarily mean there was anything inherently horribly wrong with 1st edition. and that's why people keep playing it, is that they like what was in first edition, and that they felt like nothing necessarily was broken, so they didn't move on to second edition, which is fine. That's your thing. And I don't see anything wrong with it, honestly. And I kind of think people should try some of those other editions, and just to, if nothing else, to be classically trained.
I will say this. I think that some of the tension that you may see within the edition wars is literally because social media breeds tension anyway.
Yeah.
Before Twitter and social media stuff, people weren't blasting their opinion out to everything, right? You would get together at a convention and you wouldn't see, I know you don't see people laughing at the other people. Like, it wouldn't be that way. But on social media, everyone's super internet brave, and they're, and they want to be heard, and they want their opinion to matter. And so it's almost our culture now to criticize. And, it's kind of a made up tension, if you know what I'm trying to say, because if Twitter goes away, which Twitter's really bad for that, but Facebook and that stuff, what tension? It wouldn't be at my table, wouldn't be at your table. So where would it be, or what?
Absolutely. And I wish people would just, recognize the fact that people are playing D&D, that there are so many, that it's okay to be a nerd nowadays. It doesn't, whether you're playing D&D or Pathfinder or playing some other, tabletop role-playing game, the fact that you're able to do this is amazing, because there was a time, like I said, you'd have to bury your head in the sand or get, picked on or bullied or whatnot. And so just, if you come up to somebody like, well, I play first edition, I play fifth, I mean, shake hands and be like, that's awesome. We both play D&D, and tell stories, because, the stories are still going to be the same. I mean, you can, it's not like a different language. I mean, I could tell a story that happened in my BECME games, and it could be equally as cool as a story from your fifth edition games.
Right. Exactly right.
I think you said something earlier that was a good point, like playing at a table, other tabletop role-playing games. I think that is the key right there, is that you can't lose if you're sitting around a table playing a role-playing game with friends, whatever that may be. It could be D&D, it could be Pathfinder, it could be a box gaming set, it could be a Cthulhu, whatever your jam is. It could be right? Yeah, but like Gonzo said before, you're not wasting any time doing that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. You're spending time with people you enjoy spending time with, doing something that's different than watching a movie, or something that's not as interactive. This is the most interactive social thing you could be doing. It is to me, it's the definition of the opposite of antisocial, is playing D&D. That is very social. I mean, you're using skills that we don't use a lot anymore in a lot of ways. Yeah. You're communicating, you're reading each other's, vibe, and you're working together. You're having to make compromises and sacrifices, because you may decide you want to go left, but the rest of the party wants to go right. Like, all right, I'll go with the group. That's not a natural thing anymore. People are generally used to do their own thing. If they play video games, it's by themselves doing their own thing, controlling their own path. And this is a complete different way to do things that is good for everyone in so many different ways. I mean, there's articles, and Mark and I have talked about these before, and we have them in our studio room, articles on the benefits of role-playing games, especially with younger people, children and stuff. I mean, there's so many benefits, not including the social aspect, that just to know that 5th edition is bringing more people into this circle is a good thing for our community, or everywhere. So it's a good thing. And I think I'll speak for both of us, Mark. I don't know about Wally, but it's one of the reasons we started our D&D channel, is we wanted to spread the word that, hey, this is fun. Try it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. Try it. We wanted to, try it, have fun, do it. And we'll share you our opinion, and we'll share you stuff we know, and we want to learn from you guys. And Wally started a channel so he could say, hey, torture your players with these puzzles. This is how you kill your players. This is how you destroy your players' sense of safety in everything they do.
I honestly had a very humble beginning. I started, when I started playing, I was playing Pathfinder, and the best way to teach me Pathfinder was YouTube, and I started finding all these channels. A lot of them aren't even putting out content anymore, and I started to learn that. And then I found a few people that were like presenting puzzles and stuff like that. I was just like, well, I got a few puzzle ideas. And the whole thing was I had 5 puzzles that I written up for a couple of my Pathfinder games. I was just like, well, I'm going to record those and I'll share them with everybody. And I put it out there. I had no intention on being here today. I was like, I'll put those out on the channel and share them with everybody else, and then I'll go back to playing. And then once I started seeing people subscribe and stuff, like, well, that's interesting. Maybe I'll hang around a little bit and see what's up. And I'm so glad I did. It's because I've met so many people. I've played with more people than I ever have in my entire life. My Beckme days was a small group of less than a dozen people, and now I played with people all around the world, and it's just it's fascinating to me, absolutely fascinating.
There's a comment there you got to put up for Wally, but I will say this: if anyone watching this video now or on a rerun, check out Wally DM's Journal of Puzzles. It's
thanks, Gary.
No, it's a book he put on that's on DM's Guild. He's already sold. Well, what is the level? Is it platinum or? Yeah.
We hit platinum and just surpassed, I think, 1,500 copies. So
man,
hoping
that's great. I think you're just getting started. Yeah, we actually have a review of this coming out Friday, right, Mark?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Friday.
Sweet. Thanks.
Yeah,
guys.
we have a review coming out. We've recorded it a while ago. We've used the book many times. I've actually used this. I used to write down the puzzle number. And so I would know which video to go back and look, and then I'd watch it till I understood how to use it in my game, and then I would use it in the first campaign that we played 5th edition with, where I learned and DM'd. I used a lot of your puzzles, and
thanks, man.
because I like them personally. I like using puzzles and testing the players' wits a little bit versus just always combat or whatever. So, but yeah, please check this out. It's a great product, and you can get the download for less than $5, $4.99.
Yeah, no, $4.99. Yep.
You can get a soft cover edition, or do like we did, get a hardcover edition for $20. That's the cheapest D&D product you're going to get for what you're getting. Every dungeon master should have that in his library, and again, you can use it for any edition.
Yeah, it's system neutral. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. And thanks, Jason and Carrie and everybody in the chat. Thank you very much. Which gets me excited because I do have a fun one that's coming out on Wednesday. It's more of if you have like a festival or a marketplace or something, kind of a role-playing scenario for your players, you can throw it right into there. And I won't spoil it more than that. It's going to be called Pie Lady. And it's it was fun. I actually ran it last year in a Halloween one shot, and it just missed the cut for the book, so I was excited to put it together.
I just got a shiver when I hear about Pie Ladies. I think of Castle Ravenloft and what's that?
Oh yeah, what's her name? The lady that I don't know if you played
Hag
Curse of Strahd yet, Wally.
I actually just started a campaign in it. I think. Are
you DMing?
No, I'm not.
Okay. We won't spoil it, but there is a hag that's going around selling pies or door to door, and there's a secret to those pies that you find out later in I think it's called the Bone Grinder or something. So it's pretty spooky, but yeah, you're right, Mark. Won't spoil it for Wally or the audience.
Yeah, I still have nightmares over that. All right, this is a great point that Pale Rider made.
Okay.
No, that's not the one. Hold on, sorry. It was this one.
There is one I wanted.
It was right there.
Pale Rider.
Yeah. So this was interesting. I kind of feel like if there's one weakness in 5th edition, that would be that it kind of runs out of steam and those higher levels, and you do kind of lose something to strive for. I could see that being a thing. Kind of reminds me of some video games that kind of lose their punch after a while.
So with that, that's exactly what I was referring to earlier. That's when you dig back into your other sessions. What was it about the other sessions that kept people interested in the game? And I'm going to Pale Rider, Beckme companion series. You had when characters reach 9th level, they could build a castle, they could get followers, things like that. They can become nobles or rulers, construct a tower. So you just got to shift the focus. It's not so much about adventuring and plundering and killing monsters as much anymore as it is to make your character a part of this world, to have them achieve things like that. And sometimes you got to put a little, some bait on that.
Yeah. He froze up. I like the picture. He froze up.
Just go from there. See, I froze up a second. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
All right.
But just see what they're interested in, and come up with a different strategy.
So we made a video about this, Mark, where we talked about setting goals for higher levels of your character, where they're built around your class. So if you're a druid, what if your goal as a druid, or at some point became, I want 20,000 gold pieces or 30,000 because I want to be able to buy this whole tract of land from the king and set it as my sanctuary and a conservation easement on this. And I want to protect it. And I want to set up spiritual guardians around it. Or like most of us as fighters, we wanted our own castles, our own keeps, where we would hire, like you said, maybe a fighter, a barbarian wants his mead hall, that he wants to build a big mead hall. We said a bard. What if a bard's goal is to build a giant amphitheater where he can perform and other people can do concerts and stuff? And so then there's a reason why you're collecting money and adventuring still, where you have a long-term goal versus just a short-term. Okay, I want to get to 7th level. I want to get to 8th level and get that spell. You have a long-term goal. And so it encourages you to keep adventuring, keep going out there and doing good for the community. If you're a good guy, campaign and that kind of thing. But I think you're right. That's exactly where, when we first started, that's what I wanted. I wanted to build a castle. I wanted to say, I want a castle. And then, man, you would go through modules. They would give you 5,000 gold pieces at the end of the module. Like, you would get all this stuff, but I would find a way to spend it and be broke and have to gamble to try to make more money. So, I remember that. And I think you're right. There's definitely room for 5th edition, especially, to improve on that and setting up some long-term goals and that kind of thing.
And that's one of the great things about 5th edition. And honestly, I think ever since 3.5, but especially in today's era where old guys like me can post something up on Drive-Thru RPG or the DMs Guild, is you've got so much third-party content. There's so many great ideas out there, so many creators that you can. I think somebody had already mentioned Matt Colville's Strongholds and Followers. I mean, a perfect example of third-party content that Wizards of the Coast probably never would have put out. But in today's day and age, you get that kind of stuff. You can have those kind of things. You have folks that are posting stuff about the Feywild and the Shadowfell. So you can go to other planes, and it's absolutely amazing. So once characters do start getting up those upper levels, that's when you bring in all these ideas, either through role playing or through the city they're in, or things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of a renaissance going on right now, where you have, not only do you have something that's approachable and easy to learn, but so much content that's available by third party. Look at DM's Guild and Drive-Thru RPG.
It's overwhelming.
So much, dude. And it's hard to. You can't be bored necessarily if you're bored, you're not looking. I mean, it's really, there seems to be something for everybody.
And there's character options too. If your players are like, if you played a lot of 5th edition and you're tired of, I mean, we do have Tasha's Cauldron coming out, which is going to be like, an information dump, especially for players. But like, look into Kobold Press. They have Deep Magic. They have the Hero's Handbook, and those are like great. I mean, there's like 17 different cleric domains. If you've got a player in your game likes to play a cleric and they're tired of playing the ones that are in the books, boom, there you go. There's 17 new ones you can pick from. If you're a DM that's tired of the monster manual, you've got, Kobold Press has got 2, soon to be 3 thick editions. These books are this thick. I mean, it's full. I mean, it's just great this day and age. I mean, so much extra content. Once you start running out of the official stuff, you start gobbling up this other, the third party.
There's a comment, Mark, that Dr. Feelgood did back at about 6:34. It's an older comment, but if you look back, he said, and if you find it, you can post it up there, but he said, I think it's all a marketing ploy for a profit. And I think he's referring to, the editions coming out, like when will be the next edition kind of thing. Now,
and he has a winky face though too.
Yeah. Right. So
because then I responded with that.
Yeah, they monetize. Yeah. Right. But I have heard that as a negative. Like, Wizards are they're just gonna make a new edition to make money. But you have to remember, for us to have D&D from a company,
Right.
The company has to be making money. So at the point where they're not making money and things are slowing down enough where they have to cut back, I am totally fine. I own my own business. I know what it's like to have to provide for you and all your employees and do things to, I'm okay with another edition at some point. Not that I'm looking for one anytime soon. Yeah. If it's an improvement on the game, especially, and if you know why they're doing it, if you know that, they kind of do need to. I mean, the gap between 4th and 5th edition was pretty short. I think it was like 5-6 years the most. And that was because the game needed changing. They were losing money like a heartbeat. Everyone went to Pathfinder, right?
Yeah, Pathfinder was kicking its butt. I mean,
they stayed in 3.5 or they went to Pathfinder. Pathfinder was kicking its butt, and D&D had to do something. So it wasn't like, oh, we just want you to buy all new books. It was, we need you to buy all new books or we're going to be out of business, right? Yeah. So I think it's important to remember that TSR, Wizards of the Coast, is there to make money. I mean, that's what they've got to do. So, which I think it's doing fine.
Well, and yet it's such a soft sell, really. I mean, that's why I tell people, I'm like, I know people that play golf, and that's an expensive hobby. I mean, green fees, everything else, that's expensive. This game, you literally could buy maybe under $100 worth of books if you had to buy that many, and some dice, and you're good. I mean, it's super cheap to get in and play, and that's all you really have to have. Everything else is
That's a dungeon master. You need the 3 books, the Holy Trinity, right?
Yeah.
And some dice, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And you don't really have to have all of it, but I mean.
Yeah, I think if you want to play Pathfinder 1st edition, I think most of their stuff is online for free. I mean, there's just bountiful resources. There's very little investment.
Yeah. So it's cheap. So everybody should be playing.
Yeah.
Just like we always say, everybody should play. Imagine a world where everybody played and they could all get around the table and get to know each other and sing Kumbaya. No, but you do get to connect with people, and you get to know people. Like, you might know someone, and like Gonzo. I've known Gonzo for years, and yet he still surprises me in game with some of the things he does. When you think you know somebody, they do something different in game that's like, wow, I didn't know that part about them, or that was even in their head, and it comes out in the game. So I maintain that you get to know people on a level that you could never. There's no other way you could get that. You could hang out with them and go fishing and everything together, and you learn about them on one level, but the creativity that comes out in the game shows a different side or different aspect of them that you didn't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Agreed.
I love it. Love D&D. And what I do to surprise them is I use a Wally DM puzzle.
Yeah.
And then it throws them off.
Yeah, it does. I'm like, darn that, where did you come up with this crazy thing here? Making me think stuff and use my brain.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. It's called the internet. So.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are some things? So you have a video coming out this week about a new puzzle, the Pie Lady. Pie Lady. We have a video coming out Friday about reviewing your book. So that'll be good. And hopefully we get some people to get online and buy a couple more copies of that, because they're going to want that. And
I appreciate that.
In the future, I know we have a couple more videos we've already banked. But one of the things we are going to do, Mark and I have been talking about this for quite a while. We're actually in the process of doing some research, is do a video on each edition. And we wanted to do here's the 5 best things about 3rd edition. And here's the 5 worst things about 3rd edition, and do a video on each. And I wonder what the chat thinks of that. We want to talk about each edition and give it its honest due, and not go into the history as much, because there's some channels that really go into the lore and the history. And Captain Courageous, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's spelled differently. He does a really good job. I subbed to him, but he goes through the edition, and he'll review it and everything. He does a really good job, but it's so detailed that he must spend hours and hours on the script. And we just want to briefly touch on some cons and some pros for each edition. And I want to briefly touch on those, but I was thinking 1st edition, for one, it's the first. For 2, I really enjoyed the art, even though the art, when it first started, was pretty cartoony. I remember the first Beholder was a circle basically, and some of the with a frowny face on it and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's evolved over the years for sure, but things like that. And we want to talk about some of the cons. Maybe THAC0 is a little bit backwards, maybe it is, I don't know. Or maybe some of our cons and some of the maybe things that people like, but we're just going to give our opinion on them. Second edition, I think the art was really at a pristine time, because this is when they had Jeff Easley, Keith Parkins, Larry Elmore, all those others, Jeff Butler. They had all these artists lined up in an actual studio, and they were painting these brilliant, vivid colored, covers for monster manuals and for everything else. And then they also, one of the cool things about second edition is that's when all the campaigns came out. The Ravenloft campaign setting, the Dark Sun campaign setting, the Planescape campaign setting, right? That was second edition.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did some of the cons. They did take away the demons and devils because of the Satanic Panic.
Right.
They did take away some of the gods. They did change some of the rules a little bit.
Right.
They took away some of the titles. In first edition, I remember as a rogue, and different players, when you leveled up, you got a new title too, right?
Yeah,
thief.
Thief. Was originally a thief, not rogue.
And then they would give you a new title, which is kind of neat. Now it's just you're a 5th level rogue or you're a 6th level rogue. So, third edition, well, that's the D20. That's when the rule changed, where I think it really mastered the ability to use the D20 to do most of your work. And I think that helped a lot. And then all of the great prestige classes and all the intricacies that you could really get into specializing into. I want to be someone who uses nunchucks for everything. Well, they had a class for that, Okay, here's a nunchuck. And if you want electrified nunchucks, go this way. And if you so it's really specified. And then some of the crunchiness could be some of the negatives. But anyway, we're gonna do some videos on that. I wonder what you guys think. Because we may want to call in some specialists for some of those videos, but maybe people that are more familiar. Like, I never played 4th edition, so I know there's some good things in there. I know that minions, which is like those one hit point guys at back, I know that's came from 4th edition, which is pretty useful and I think a good thing, and stuff like that. But yeah, we may get some people to help us, but we do want to do some video reviews of each edition and show some of our personal collection of each of that stuff. We have stuff in all of it. I mean, I'm right behind Mark. I can see a 3rd edition book. I can see 5th edition. I can see Art and Arcana.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right there. Player's Handbook. There's a bunch of 3rd edition.
Yeah, that's
cool. We're gonna do that. So
yeah. I think it's important. Like I said, it's all part of the game. I kind of feel like they're all like pieces of that pie that is Dungeons and Dragons. And boy, the flames that you get, like I said, from some of these Facebook groups, you go in there and you talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Are you talking about Dungeons and Dragons or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? I'm like, whatever, dude. We're all part of the same pie. But yeah, I don't see why it has to be exclusive. Why exclude people? Like, whatever floats your boat is fine. I'm not coming for your edition. It's okay. You can still play that. And that's one thing I think is really cool is you still can get content for all the different editions. Nobody has made anything obsolete. You feel like, oh, you just can't possibly play that edition anymore. There's tons of content for all the different editions. And if there wasn't, you could just homebrew it, because it's, and often people are doing that anyway. So
Jason said he's played them all. So we'll have to get with Jason and pick his brain for these videos. Because if he's played them all, then that would help us out in getting some pros and cons for those. But and in the chat, go ahead and give me one con of 3rd edition. That's not like something we've talked about, but it's just interesting to me, if nothing else. But I will say this too. The art is such a big part for me. I just love the art, and I'm a visual guy. Like I just love seeing. Yeah, you've got it right there, man.
Well, I was just gonna. So there's like one piece of art that just always reminds me. This is it right here. Of course, I've written on it. But this art right there.
Oh yeah.
This is This is from the Red Book Back Me series, and for those of you not familiar with the 1984 Red Book, you actually started off by playing a mini adventure, and you're a fighter, and you meet the cleric Alina, and this artwork here is just always, I mean, that was just like my favorite. That's what drew me in. As soon as I got this book and I seen that, I was just like,
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah, Mark, do you have some art that you want to? Did you?
Well, so I have them on tabs.
Okay.
And I went to share them, and I
Yeah.
all of a sudden got very scared that I would close the one tab that is what we're using right now. So I decided I better not do that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to.
I spent the day putting together a folder of different art on my computer while I was working, and I left it at home at work. So, but this is a good point. I think Pale Rider had the Karens of D&D can be annoying. That's a really good point. Yeah, the people that are like, well, you should do that. You should play this edition, and there's no other editions. There's no other editions. If you're playing 5th edition, you're stupid. Like whatever, you know.
Yeah. So I think the takeaway of that is just to be. And there's two things you can do. Number one is for people that when you see the Karens of the D&D Facebook groups and stuff like that, is to number one, just ignore them, or number two, just politely engage with them. Be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I like that edition. What do you like best about it? Just. I find a lot of people are just, and this isn't just for gaming, it's just for life in general. A lot of people have a wall up or they're kind of rough in the beginning anyway. And especially when you're talking over text and on social media platforms, because it doesn't show emotion a lot of time, unless you emoji, you don't really get that. So I've seen people that have come off kind of rude or awkward, but after engaging with them a little bit, they're really cool folks. And I took their initial comment wrong, and then after we got started talking about stuff, everything was cool.
Yeah, I agree. We've had a few more people just jump in. I can see the chat numbers go up, and I see Matt here, and Dr. Feargood's been here. But
yes, Dr. Feargood.
Yeah, he's been here forever. But 5e forever, Matt Nerdy says. So he loves 5th edition, and so do we.
Yeah. So okay. So Battle of the Editions. What are you guys picking then? I mean, if you had to say which one's the best, I mean.
Yeah, in the chat, put it down. Just put the number. 5e, 3e, 2e.
And what about you two, Mark, Gonzo?
Okay, I'll put in. I'm going to put it in the chat. And I'll explain because I have a microphone. I could explain why for me, but gosh, this is hard. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. There's my first gut reaction, and then there's as I contemplate it.
Okay, I'm saying 5. Okay, I'm gonna put in 5th edition, and I'll explain why. And this is hard because I actually, for art, I like the older two. I like 1st and 2nd edition. I just love the art. I think the colors are more vibrant. Obviously, they were oil paintings a lot of times. And it feels like the art's been muted lately. Like it's the palette has been, the colors just don't stand out as much. The art is good, make no mistake. There's some brilliant art in 5th edition. I have the Rime of the Frost Maiden book, and there's some great stuff in there. But it seems like some of it I could do without. I mean, there's a couple memes where they use the picture of the halfling in the player's handbook and how terrible that art looks of the halfling or whatever. But and art is such a big thing. I would pick 1st edition, but 5th edition for me, only because I was able to pick it up and learn it as an adult and then turn around and teach it to my friends and family quickly and been able to play for the last 5 years. So because it was a game that I could quickly transfer to my kids, and now they can tell me the rules, and they're like, no, Dad, this can poisoned means you take, this and this. And when you're paralyzed, you can, like they tell me the rules. Mark knows that we have like a bunch of dungeon masters sitting around the table. So they're all barking at me. And I'm like, wait a minute, guys. So, but I'm going to pick 5th edition because it's the one I'm playing. It's the one I'm playing right now. So I'm going to have to go with that. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to have to, the majority would have to lean toward 5th edition for kind of all those reasons. I've had the most conversations about 5th edition with people. My students are all joining because of 5th edition. I think for me, it's about approachability. It's the ease of teaching someone to play. I just saw firsthand how it can hold a group of, as I said in one of our videos,
Kids.
I had a group of 7 kids, age 7 to 16, and I had them playing for a total of 10 hours, and they were all in, all engaged. And I don't know that I could. I know that would not have been as easy in some of the older editions.
No.
And the difference is, and this is the English teacher and me too, the story. Story is so key. A lot of the details get out of the way for the story to come through a little easier in 5th edition. And I had to contemplate that because I have a special place in my heart for the 1st edition days, because that's how I first, as a kid, that's what I learned. But and I've played a little bit of 3.5 and all, and I was intrigued by that. But with 5th edition, there's some of the decisions they made were really, really good. There's some I tell Gonzo all the time, I sure missed this one aspect. Like poison isn't a big deal in 5th edition.
Right.
No.
It used to be a bigger deal, in some of the other editions. And there's some of these things I miss, but you can homebrew that and you can put that in if you want.
But you're right. I think one of the keys is that 5th edition reminds us most of 1st edition.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we like it so much. But
Yeah.
what about you, Wally?
Well,
You gonna say Pathfinder?
not at all. Yeah, by far, for me, it is 5th edition. Although Beckme is always going to hold a special place in my heart because that's what I grew up with. That's what I started, and I will say that I still love the simplicity of combat in the older editions. The turns went a lot faster. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I'm going from a DM perspective. I'm a different DM than I was 30 years ago. Now we do a lot more role playing. We do a lot more exploring, where back in the old days, there's a lot of hack and slash and things like that. And I think what 5th edition has done is it has taken the best parts of all of those editions. It's taken the best part of Beckme in 1st and 2nd, 3.5, and even 4th edition. It's just mashed it all together, included a few new things with 5th edition as well, and has given us a system that, if given the chance, should interest old people like me and people just starting the game. And I think it's amazing. I don't ever want to see an edition past this, just because I love this one so much, and I love that we can have people build around it. That's not just the publishers of 5th edition. Right. And by far, it was easy for me to pick up. I love it. It's got just enough where you can make your characters your own. You can make the game your own, and it's simple enough that I can prepare in a couple hours and have a few beers and kick back and have some fun.
Yeah, that's good.
How brilliant is drive-through RPG and Wizards making that available as a thing? They are allowing people to make content and then sell it using a lot of their proprietary stuff, but they get a cut of it. And I think is one of the things that makes this really sustainable, because like, as we mentioned earlier, if there's something you don't like, there's somebody who's probably made a book with more class options and different settings and things. That is really helping to feed that. And I really think that's brilliant. I don't know. Yeah. Talk about having a long game outlook. I really think that Wizards kind of has that now.
Yeah, and that started honestly with 3rd edition. That's with the D20 system, where they made that open game license. Yes. That's how we were able to get Pathfinder. And the internet isn't like it is today. So if the internet was like it was today back in 3rd edition, we'd probably see the same explosion and stuff. And it's just now to the point that with everything that's going on, that drive-through RPG and DM Guild are able to take advantage of that.
Right.
I see we have a super chat.
Yeah, baby, yeah.
All right, very good, very good. Yeah,
we do. We love the chat.
Great.
We love the chat.
Yeah. Good cut, good input tonight too, and that really, honestly, we do.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of 5th edition. I'm seeing, but I see some 3rd. I see some even 2, and whatever. But yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, again, I think our overall message for tonight is whatever edition you're playing is is your edition, and that's great. And there's nothing wrong with playing that one or trying a different one. And keep it up and share it with others, enjoy it, because time is short. And I will tell you one thing, everyone in this chat, I'm sure most of you are adults in the chat, I think, for sure. And I know the three of us up here, we have real life problems. We all have things that we're going through, personal or otherwise, that are tough. And there's nothing like getting together and hanging with people you enjoy and doing this kind of thing. It's a great escape, but more importantly, it's just good time spent. It's good time spent. So keep it up. I would encourage everyone to keep it up. Spread the word. Spread the word about Wally DM and his YouTube channel. Go check him out. Sub to him if you haven't already. Spread the word about Dungeon Class. Let's get 100 people in here and find out what their favorite edition is, because it's just so interesting to share ideas and to learn from each other. I've already learned so much from the chat tonight. I love the chat. So thanks to all of you guys for sure. So
now, Wally, they can see the chat that is your live stream from yesterday is posted, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. For those of you that didn't catch yesterday's live stream, Mark and Gonzo joined me for a Sunday morning coffee or cocoa or whatever it was that you had. And we kind of brainstormed a Halloween encounter idea. And I thought it came out really nice. And the chat was a lot of fun, a lot of help. So many great ideas. It's so much funner to brew when you've got not only the three people on camera, but when you've got 20 people in the chat throwing out ideas. And that was a ton of fun. We'll definitely have to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great time doing that. And there's nothing like deciding between a toilet and a cauldron when you're creating an adventure.
Yeah,
we did that. We did that. So go watch that video on Wally DM. Mark, you got something? You got something up there?
Yeah, baby, yeah.
I see that there's been a thing. So there's a plug for BECMI.
Tell everyone.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Pale Rider.
Yeah, you got kindred spirit there.
I won't disagree with you. Back Me is a great set.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Wally DM. I think we're here in the end of our conversation here.
Well, our hours. We spent an hour. We can hang with you guys as long as you guys want, but we don't want to bore you either. So unless you guys have a question for Wally or a question for Mark or I, this is an AMA as always. Anything you guys want to ask us, we'd be glad to talk about for a minute. Wally, I know your time's valuable. You can hang as whatever.
I'm fine for a little bit. I still got a little bit of a drink left. So.
All right. He's all right. He's all right. So we can open it up really quick for a question. We do appreciate the super chat, Pale Rider. If you don't know what that is, you just put in a couple bucks. It's like a tip to the YouTuber. And they actually get a portion of that from YouTube. It's kind of nice, but it's not necessary for sure. We love all of you guys that are there. I did want to mention, is there any more D&D news that's released other than Tasha's? There's nothing else that we know. I know there's some hype about the Baldur's Gate video game. If you're a video gamer at all, that looks pretty amazing. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. My wife and I played 1 and 2. We played 1 probably 7 times all the way through. And at the very end of Baldur's Gate on the Xbox there, you can unlock to play Drizzt. But you have to go through this dungeon and go through all this. We never unlocked them. So we still have that saved on a little memory thing. We put it in and we always try to get them unlocked. So hard to do. But yeah. Oh, here's a couple questions.
Yeah. All right. We'll start with this one here. This is specifically to Wally.
Okay.
Oh, Logan.
What is the key?
The key. Honestly, Logan, the key to making a great puzzle is
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's that simple.
Wow. That's it.
Oh, that's all.
No, I can make a book like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that simple.
No, honestly, it's just create something that's fun. That's it. That's all I do. I want to do something that's fun, that's interactive, that I think players would enjoy. I want them to find something and then later on see where it goes and see the light. And every puzzle, I don't like to make them hard. I like my puzzles to be easy. I just want to create memorable moments. So key to making a great puzzle is just make them memorable and fun. That's it.
Making memorable and fun. Well, they're enlightened. He says, I feel enlightened.
Yeah.
Inspiring, very deep. So those keywords were important. All right, we have another question.
Favorite third-party content.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I got an answer. Anything by MT Black. Drive Through RPG.
MT Black.
MT Black does great work.
Yeah, he does.
We actually, he sent us some stuff to play test, and I am impressed at how everything's laid out. They're really easy to use, and actually one of the things he's trying to do is kind of move into a Cthulhu horror kind of 5th edition stuff, which is really kind of interesting. We played through one of them that was very Cthulhu-like. It was very different D&D play. It uses D&D rules that are modified slightly, so it's easy to pick up, which I really liked. But it was more investigative. You find yourself doing like CSI kind of stuff, which is not the kind of stuff you normally do. So that's some of his work, but he's done some regular kind of adventure modules and all on there. So
nice.
MT Black. So that would be anything by him.
What about you, Wally?
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I hadn't seen any of that. So MT Black. Yeah. I've got 2 answers. I always like to have 2. Okay. First one is I always gobble up anything by Kobold Press. They do really good.
That was mine. Yep.
Yeah.
That was mine.
But this guy right here, Nerzugel, he has Dungeon Master toolkits. They have puzzles in them. They have monsters in them. And I also get to game with him. Steven is a great guy, and his content's top notch. So he's got, for any of those that are playing Halloween, he has his Tome of Horrifying Adventures up on the DMs Guild right now. And you can get that, I think, for the month of October. It's pay what you want. And he's actually going to run us through a one shot on my channel, which is awesome. But yeah, by far, he's one of my favorites. He's just, the DM toolkits are just a great resource.
Okay. You took one of mine. Kobold Press has so many good products. They have their Tome of Beast or whatever it is. I have so many monster manuals, and I love using those because the players have never looked through them. So they know the regular monster manual, and they know when they come across a werewolf, okay, I need silver, right? But when they come across some of these new monsters and stuff that Kobold Press has for you, it throws a whole new wrinkle into things. And the other one for me is Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Because just the name generator in itself, just to have the list of different names and stuff, just that is worth its name, weight in gold. But he's got a lot of good, simple ideas on how to make your game better, whether as a dungeon master or a player, that I enjoy, and I have a lot of his products too. So
absolutely. And speaking of those Tome of Beasts, one of the monsters in there might so happen to be written by me in this upcoming one. So there's actually one of my submissions will be in the Tome of Beasts too. So
that's great, Wally. That's awesome.
All right, another question for Wally here.
Light armor
fighter and Beck me. Not really. No, I've never gone that far. I can't say that I've done that. But I have had quite a few elves because in Beck me, an elf was an actual class. And if our campaigns didn't go very long, it was actually great to play an elf because you're kind of a fighter magic user. It's like the original multi-class. So those were always fun, but never a well, actually, I take that back. I did have a light armored fighter after they got hit by a rust monster. That kind of ruined the day.
Gonzo, I don't know the answer to this one.
Kitty names. There's one white one right there. All right, so the cats are 2 white little kittens. They're about 8 weeks old now. They have black tails, and they're both boys. And my daughter ended up naming one Bandit and one Bones. And they're pretty cute for sure. I was against cats for quite a while because I just bought thousands of dollars worth of new furniture that, I really like. And of course, that doesn't matter to her. She wants cats. And so there goes my furniture. But it's, it's been a joy. They've been a lot of fun to have. And now when my son, I told you while the Logan moved in, well, he came with 2 cats that were about, I don't know, a dozen weeks old. So now we have all of a sudden went from 0 to 4 within 2 weeks. So I now, Mark, are you allergic? Because I know you've been over, but
I am a little bit. So but luckily it didn't seem to make me itch and stuff like that. Maybe I've outgrown
trying to send you a message, but you're not getting it. So
I guess I'm not supposed to go anywhere near that house. I mean,
Right.
you went from none to 4. That's like, that's like mark repellent, basically. Apparently.
Yeah, 10 minutes in your house, man, I'd be done for. I'm super allergic to cats. No.
Are you really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
We'll put them away if they come back, or we'll meet we'll meet somewhere else. But if we get to meet up. But,
This is an interesting idea, Gonzo.
what's that?
Do a live stream with AJ Pickett. We haven't really.
I'll do a stream. I would do that. I would live stream
definitely.
with anyone because
Yeah.
it's been such a joy just getting to know and meet Wally and get to talk. The more we talk, the seems like the more we get to know each other, and I just can't wait to play D&D together and have a good time doing that. But
Absolutely.
But yeah, we would do a live stream with anybody. We are doing one with Nerdarchy later this month.
Yeah.
I can't wait to actually talk to them. That's exciting. We've done some with Fred. Love that guy. Love Bob, the world builder. That guy's so chill. I just love his attitude on everything. It's neat. So we've met some cool people, and we can't wait to meet more for sure.
Oh, here's a back to a third party thing. That Heckna Carnival Horror campaign.
Uh-oh.
Dr. Feargood. Yeah. So I ran a one shot. The Heckna Carnival Horror. I took two parts out of that. It's a Kickstarter that's finishing up right now, but they put out some playtest material, and they have the children of the candy corn. And the whole thing is they climb up your leg and they grapple you, and then they shove this rotten candy corn in your mouth. And
Interesting.
It was bizarre.
It wouldn't even have to be rotten to make me ill. So
No. Well, Dr. Feargood loved candy corn before that. I don't know if he likes it so much anymore. He had like a whole bag sitting there next to him, and then that happened.
Amen, and welcome, Crit Academy.
Yeah, welcome. I couldn't agree more. I love having guests on our podcast. It's always like meeting kindred spirits, and that's what I'm getting at. And meeting you guys in the chat feels the same to me. Like the more you guys, I recognize, Matt Nerdy and DM Zephyr and Jason O'Keefe. Like these names are starting to mean something to us. As the more we live stream, the more we get to know you guys. We already know what your best edition or your favorite edition is because you told us in the chat. So as we do this, it just becomes that we become closer and closer as friends, and I love it. So
if you don't mind too, I want to just shout out hey to everybody from my Discord. I see a lot of familiar faces in there. Thanks for popping over and saying hi. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Great.
Very good.
I appreciate it.
Welcome, peoples.
Yeah. So anything else? If there's no more questions, and we don't want to continue the edition wars anymore until we get going on making videos about these editions.
I want to see edition love.
Edition love, not edition war.
Make love, not war, or something like that.
Edition peace.
Yeah, edition peace. Yeah.
All right. Zephyr has a question here. Would you recommend trying out the AD&D system? I would. Mm-hmm. I would recommend it because there's a lot of good to it.
Yeah. Back to the roots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. DM Zephy, we were talking about that earlier. If you ever get a chance to go to a convention, and even if it's online, I'm sure they're still doing it. Like I was actually scheduled to play in a first edition AD&D Tomb of Horrors ran by one of the Gygaxes, and it kind of escapes my mind at this point which one it was, but absolutely, I think the best way to do that is to sign up for the online conventions or to attend one in person. And I would absolutely do it. I mean, I'm strictly 5e now, but if somebody else is going to run the game, I'll go. I'll try one. I'll even try 4th edition. I don't care as long as there's drinks.
I'm sensing a common theme here, Wally.
I like to drink. It loosens me up. I can, that's
all right. I'm not allowed. So Mark and I don't drink, but we are always designated drivers. We don't mind.
That's right. Right. We're designated drivers. We're good with that.
Yeah.
So I see some kindred spirits. Beer and D&D. That does seem to go together.
At away, Mojo. I love it.
Basic edition was really fun. Gonzo, you got treatment tomorrow, right, buddy?
I do. So I go in for my next round of chemo tomorrow. And I shared earlier with these guys, but the first round wasn't bad for anyone concerned. I appreciate it. I say it wasn't bad. I was down for 4 or 5 days with a lot of nausea and that kind of thing. But I have 2 weeks between the treatments, so I actually have a good week, where I'm recovering and gaining my weight back, and then a week where I'm not eating much and sick. So I get to do that tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. I am a little bit scared just because I know what's coming ahead of me, but I'm not too worried. I don't know. I have the greatest support group. My wife is amazing, the best caregiver I could ever have, and I'm surrounded by great people. So, and I get to paint figures and stuff like that while I'm, during my downtime. So I'll do that when I can't go to work. And,
very
nothing
nice.
wrong with that. So yeah, it's all good.
And you get to sit for how long? 5 hours?
For the initial treatment, it's interesting. If any of you have been through this, it's a weird thing. There's actually something underneath my skin here. I won't gross you out and show you right now, but
It's kind of like Iron Man, only it's shifted to the side.
I
It's
wish
not
it would
here.
glow like Iron Man's chest plate.
Should have got some LEDs in there. That'd be sweet. Yeah.
But they just plug into that, and because your veins can't take the chemo over time, it'll destroy your veins because it's such a aggressive chemical. So they plug into that, it goes right into your heart, and then it pumps it through the body, and you sit in a chair for about 5 hours on an IV, puts a certain chemical in, then there's a different chemical that'll give you like some nausea medicine for half hour, then you go another hour with a different one. So that's when people say chemo, that's what it is for those that don't know. But I'm going to beat this. I'm not even, I feel really good. I feel really good, and we're going to get through this, but I don't mind sharing it. Because if I can help one person to think about getting checked or getting a colonoscopy or just making sure they're taking care of themselves, then I feel I should share it and be open about it for sure.
Yeah.
So
you got this, buddy.
That. Yeah, I do. I know I do. Thank you so much. But,
and one more request to see the Call of Cthulhu thing. I don't think DM Zeppi was here earlier.
All right. So this is, and here's a little tea light thing you see like at weddings and stuff. They put them in tables. Hold on a second. I'll put this on, put it in there. And then this is the Cthulhu figure. I don't know if it's a Pathfinder figure or a Wizards of the Coast figure. I don't remember.
Yeah, it looks like Cthulhu's sitting on Fred Wheeler's hat is what it looks like.
So I painted them kind of blue coming out of the water, but I've seen them painted like purple, that kind of thing. You could, there's much better painters than me, trust me. So
that's still pretty horrifying.
Yeah, but imagine plopping that on your table with your plate.
That's like, so you get that if you have like a little one at home or whatever, like 1 or 2 years old. That's like their nightlight. I remember.
There you go.
And this is a Fomorian. So if you haven't looked at a Fomorian in the monster manual, they're misshapen giants, right? They're like misshapen. They have one leg shorter than the other, one arm bigger than the other. They're supposed to be really weird and misshapen. Yeah. So this is one.
Gonzo painted that. He didn't make it, but he painted that.
Yeah. These are just
And what was that? What was that dragon? One more time.
The dragon.
Yeah, you had a dragon there.
My undead one, or they're in the other room.
Oh, I thought you had 3 figures. You just showed.
No, I only showed 2. I only had these 2.
All right. Yeah. So what? In the chat, which one's y'all's favorites?
Oh, that's got to be the Cthulhu, man.
Probably. Yeah, that's got to be.
River said that was awesome. The Cthulhu.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome, guys.
All right.
It's time to call it a night and count our blessings. We love you guys. We do love the chat, and anyone watching this video on replay. Again, just last words, sub to Wally DM, sub to Dungeon Class. Check us out. We're excited. We're just getting started, honestly. I know Wally is too. We're just getting started with content that's going to be coming out. We're going to be working with others often. We're working together often, which seems to be a lot of fun and super creative, super inspiring, So
yeah, absolutely.
And more importantly, we just want to hang out with you guys. So join us every time we get a live chat, and we have scheduled ones, but we can drop one anytime too. Any night we're all free, we can all just jump in whenever. So,
boom.
But yeah, love you guys. Good night. I appreciate it.
All right. So Gonzo, with that,
class dismissed. All right.
Thanks, Wally. Bye.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
All right.